Hello and welcome. This is going to be the Daily Dharma. My name is Dina. Thank you so much for joining today. And today, if you did not know, of course, all of these readings are intended to be timeless for those who are new. However, at the time of this broadcast, I'm filming on the day of the full moon, lunar eclipse, supermoon in the sign of Pisces. So we also have the equinox happening this week as well. And that's when you have the sun pushing into Libra this time of year. And it's the equal day and night marker. Apologies for the road noise if you can take that or hear that. Go ahead and take in a little bit of this smudge for the reading. And I'd like to just ring the bell a little bit to set some energies and intentions. The cards were talking before I even started pressing the button today, just in the pre-shuffle. So I'm going to ring this bell. If you're sensitive to sound, please mind your ears here. So just a light, easy start. It's a beautiful day here. Can you hear the nature all around us? So I have a lot of cards and decks on the table right now. And here's what Spirit was telling me was going to go on today. Based on the couple of cards I'm going to reveal here in a moment for you guys, basically one card off of each of this reading's decks here, just about. And then on the one deck that just represents for me the daily Dharma, what I call the code deck, the Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle, that, and now I'm hearing Metatron. That deck, Romantic Love, was the card that came off. So, of course, for you, this does not need to be that you are entering into a new or contemplating specifically romantic love because of this being a general reading. But I would suggest that this reading, for those tuning in, this is about some type of context coming through for you at the time of this powerful transition. And then we're going to have 3 subsequent readings based upon this, which I'll start them out with DD2 for the Daily Dharma 2 extended, and then I will label them with piles. So I do believe what we'll do is this deck, Artistry as such, will be pile number 1. And then we'll go in and clarify that with another tarot deck. Then we're gonna do Celtic Cross. The second deck will be this one, Shadowscapes. Try to list these all in the description box. There's the art. That's your deck. That will be pile number 2. And the third one, this one's got a little bit different depictions of art here too. That's pile number 3. And each of those will be clarified by a deck, and then we'll get a couple oracle cards and possibly some Akashic tarot here in the past to bring us into context. So let's get into today's reading. So I will do these out of order since that's the way it's going to be. The code cards. So the one flipping upright was Romantic Love. This one popped out not once but twice and was under the deck a third time. So I was like, all right, that one wants to be out. So if you haven't noticed and you're somebody who's watched different broadcasts before, I do try to stay a little bit neutral on the romantic love thing because I don't like to be somebody who wants to pretend to be a crystal ball for you guys. This is just, my readings come through more as intuitive hits about perspective breakthroughs, confirmations on your state of emotions, energetics that need to move through, things like that. Just kind of context more than me telling you what to do, I hope. Under the deck, Cosmic Flower. I'll just go through and show you the cards that came out on the various decks, and then you'll see which ones we're going to come with, that are coming up. We have Right Order here popping off of this deck with Fearless underneath. So something with romantic life developments are in the right order, and you should remain confident and fearless. And then from the Tao Te Ching deck, the one that came out, and all of the rest of these are face down at this time. 22, master number. Yesterday we had 22, 2 33s, and 44 coming out. So number synchronicities are coming into alignment. Oh, and one last thing too, I believe I didn't say this yet. Pluto is in about the last 60 days or so window of finalizing the stay in the sign of Capricorn and moving fully into the sign of Aquarius. So this is a real generational push and shift in the collective that's, I believe its time has been like between 60 and 65 years. I think it's 62 years approximately in every sign that Pluto stays. And so it has been a long time. It's like 248 years since it goes from one spot in the zodiac fully around the circle back to, or is it 292? Anyways, longer than you and I will be around. So you can look at that if you want to check that out. But a lot of people with that long-term astrological approach will look at trends from previous cycles when the planets were in that sign. And for this one, we have very little context, really. We've got history, but we don't have people that were around at that time. All right, let's get into the cards. But yeah, monumental shifts and switches for all of us at this time. 22, if you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. So that's a really powerful statement. I believe it's about the unlearning process and flow state. So, we learn that we've got to be socially acceptable. We learn what we're supposed to do. And I'm not talking about literal responsibilities to, you need to feed yourself. I'm talking about the shoulds, where everybody's like, oh, well, you should be a better person, or you should want to do this one specific thing because of let's say a gender role. How many of us just want to be our own selves instead of what somebody dictates as what you have to be because of this or that. So yeah, when we get into flow state, instead of that, we're more in tune and aligned with our soul essence, which is, as many of us would say, obviously, it's a conglomeration of a spectrum of interests and beliefs, and all of us having that masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves coming into the equation. We so often we do want things to come for us, blessings and recognition. And I did see the recognition card in the pre-shuffle in this right order fearless combo. yeah, we've got to allow our perspectives to have the proper place, and also in the context of romantic love. I think that, it's not about appearances, it's not about what we have, it's not about what we say or do necessarily. It's in the energy that we hold, which, we can say anything and we can even demonstrate behaviors, but the vibe don't lie. And I say that on purpose because those of us who are intuitive, um, which is, I would wager a guess, all but sociopaths, but our awareness is different and much more variable. Uh, we all have those BS meters where, when somebody's telling us the truth or when they're really aligned with what they're saying, it comes through. But when they're feeling a certain way, no matter how they have tried to appear, we can sense that. Just like the comic that has the broken heart, it comes through in the things they say and do. So I feel like we're all kind of doing an inner assessment around the time of this lunar eclipse and really releasing some of the old baggage, whatever doesn't serve. Oh, this reminds me, one of the things that came through today, um, by virtue of just a social media feed that I couldn't remember if I tried who said it, but it was some meme about, at the time of this lunar eclipse, it might be helpful if some of us want to do a little ritual around burning a paper with many things written on it that we're ready to release. So um, this can be mindsets or different comfort seeking or bad behaviors, bad habits. Um, but also to be able to put that at the end that says, and anything else that no longer serves. And then also, I always like to, in conjunction with that, or if you choose, you may choose to wait 2 weeks and do this next one with the solar eclipse, which might make it even more relevant. But then also doing that burning ritual, perhaps. Others might try to do this a different way, to manifest versus to release. But I think burning can be helpful in either regard personally. It's up to you what you do. You're the expert. But what I like to do is then also make sure that as I've released that I'm calling something else in. And so I'd write down a few little things that I might like to manifest in, and I always try to avoid using people's names because we don't always see all the conversations or see all of the vibrations that spirit would have in mind for us. And knowing our path and knowing that person's path, spirit would really like to help us most efficiently by putting us into the situation that we most need, instead of like, oh well, I really want um, Sally, or I really want um, Jesse. I'm making these up, obviously. But Spirit's like, yeah, but that guy or that girl is kind of superficial and isn't in the right space right now. What you're really asking me for is love or connection or somebody to walk your path and go in the direction of your calling, somebody synchronistic, And so I'd really rather that you don't go with one of those, but what about this one over here? What about this friend over here that's going to help you to get into the mindset that then will help you to attract that next layer? And so, yes, let's get into these cards. So 53 was under the deck for the Tao. The great way is easy, yet people prefer the side paths. Be aware when things are out of balance. Stay centered within the Tao. When rich speculators prosper, while farmers lose their land, when government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures, when the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible, while the poor have nowhere to turn, all this is robbery and chaos. It is not in keeping with the Tao. So what we're talking about there is value systems, compatibility, ideological differences or similarities. And let's say this isn't romantic love for you. This can be the workplace, absolutely. Or individuals that we would bring into our vision to help us build that. It will be for many important that the one significant other, um, those in key positions, would hold some level of buy-in to a similar value system. You know, if you're creating an intentional community, for instance, you're not going to want somebody who wants meditation and nature next to somebody who really their idea of bliss is to turn up their heavy metal and run their chainsaw and go dirt bike happen through the woods necessarily. Those two seem incompatible. And so if those two people need to work together, then creating space for for both things to coexist and sensing and vetting out whether or not those things are in alignment or whether the space can be created for those differences, right? So in the Art of War deck, Sun Tzu said, "Thus it may be known that the leader of armies is the arbiter of the people's fate, the man on whom it depends whether the nation shall be in peace or in peril." I read that a little bit wrong, but it's saying basically, you know, because of what we've experienced and witnessed, we understand that the people that are going to be in charge of those we serve or in charge of the household or in our inner circles, they are going to be, and the people that we appoint to positions of power or on the visions board of directors, for instance, that this person is the one who chooses the destiny of the people. They are the mediator that gets things done or stalls or blocks. The person that it depends upon them whether or not the enterprise is going to be peaceful and interconnected and synergistic, or whether people are going to be competitive and argumentative. Because, I mean, cohesion and synergy are at the opposite end. They're on the abundance end and the gratitude end of the spectrum, where there's always options and opportunities. But then if somebody else is in a mindset of scarcity, they're going to be competitive. They're going to be less giving. Giving. They're going to look for something in return. One moment, let me clear my throat. Oh boy, my throat chakra is going through some upgrades. Definitely with any of the eclipse portals, you're definitely going to see animal behaviors switching and changing. You're going to see the weather and the birds moving differently. People are going to be moving differently. And generally, those that are more and the most aware and enlightened about their biorhythms and things, you'll witness those different energies moving through your own systems differently. You'll have chakra upgrades. You'll have those ascension symptoms, so to speak. So giving yourself time and space to release and process is going to help at this time tremendously. On the other side of the deck, exactly, you can't be friends with everyone. Friends do what they do because they're our friends and we love them. They do it because they know it's the right thing to do. But while some people can be our friends, others cannot. The difference is that friends can be inconvenient, annoying, troublesome, expensive, and taxing, but we'll forgive them. You know, back to the dirt bike versus the guru that wants to be in the peace and solitude and sanctuary of nature. It's like both people are outdoors enjoying nature, but in their own ways. And if those two things are not compatible at the end of the day, um, you know, I want to bring this back up. It was going through my mind earlier. It's for a reason. I recently watched somebody And I even referenced it in one of my videos, and now I can't remember who it was, but one of the psychology people on YouTube interviewed somebody who did a a bit about relationships, and there were these 4 levels. The first level is attraction, where someone catches your eye. The second level is when somebody also notices you in return. That's mutual attraction and magnetism coming together. The third tier is where you go from interest and into that second stage is where dating is going to be advancing there. The third level, though, goes from dating into some type of communicated agreement, whether that's, are we going to be exclusive? Are we going to be open? Are we going to be looking and manifesting towards marriage? Those type of things. And it can go all the way up and through the point where you become married and committed, right? So marriage is only the third level, perhaps, for some. Others, the fourth level can happen within any of these other tiers as long as they're kind of all happening together. But the fourth tier is actually compatibility. So even if there's the desire to be together mutually, even if there is the practice and commitment to being together, such as even in this community or in this job, are you compatible with those individuals? And that's where we're talking about that master number 22 with the flow state that happens so automatically. And in our own life, it's enough of a challenge. But then when we have other individuals who aren't playing the same ball game, trying to be on the same ball field at the same time, you start to get pegged in the head with a softball, and that's not good, you know? So it looks like we're really looking for individuals to come on board with something. So then we have, let's get into the Kali Kuan Yin oracles. Underneath the deck, we have Spin the Silken Thread Divine, number 30. That's beautiful. Oh, she does have her chest out there. Sorry, folks. Don't flag me. I do my best to be PG-13 here. So she's got this rabbit in her hand. It's talking about this full moon in the background here, where she's reflecting, she's relaxed, she's uplifted, she's like floating upon the ethers here with her creative idea gently tucked in the crook of her arm as if to protect her future ideas and vision. And in the background, this luminous super moon of a full moon here. And it's really like talking about how we spin our narratives, how we make our choices, and what that choice is going to look like in the next few weeks, especially the next 60 to 75 days, as we go through that finalization process of working through getting Pluto out and into Aquarius. And we're all facing up to, how do we bring that vision into fruition? So we're spinning our story and we're recognizing what needs to shift and change due to that. And the two popping out here, very interesting. Number 15 from the Kuan Yin deck again, Ivory Swan Goddess. Look at that, kind of taking a moment of peace. And this card in particular, I will say, for me, represents someone who is possibly underweight. Now, that can come through a number of different ways for you, because that can be just as much a trauma response as anything else, but it can also be just your metabolism, right? It can be people that need, or that is perhaps even recovering from an illness. This doesn't need to represent yourself. But with Ivory Swan Goddess, I believe this is talking about mating for life is the swan for me. It talks about beauty, grace, and flow state energy, goddess energy in that flow state. And ivory talking about the purification process of the soul, release and forgiveness. And so she's even taken off her jewels from her necklace there. She's got a couple others around bracelets and veils. So it's like she has her riches, but it's like she's kind of set that aside for the moment to really rest, replenish, and recover from something. Um, so yeah, I don't know what to make about the commentary on the physical body, but I believe that on the symbolic level, many more of us will struggle with losing weight in this society than those that struggle with putting it on. But both are kind of a reflection of being out of balance. And seeking that middle ground, that balance, can often take the form of doing some type of healing and release rituals like we've talked about. And for everybody, making sure that we get our proper nutrients. I'll just share briefly. Recently, I've started taking some additional supplements, and my nutrients are fairly well balanced, but I am personally kind of, sometimes I struggle with the aspect of cooking the food that I produce here at the homestead, and so I've started taking a beet supplement in a pill form for me because I don't like the powder. It tastes like beets. And I started taking chlorophyll droplets in a liquid form, which seems to be helping a lot, and cranberry to help flush out some of the systems. Um, and, in addition to my multivitamin, which for me, I personally choose to take a prenatal because for females, it's around the right amount of supplements that you need to create a whole new life. And I'm trying to, replenish and rebuild my tissues. And so detox and replenish. So yeah, do your research in that regard, because there's something here about our physical body resting, replenishing, and the replenishment having to do something with possibly our nutrition or a return to good health. Um, Yeah, especially if there's been a loss recently. This could also even be someone passing, or even something going on with a child. I'll leave that there. Number 10, Kundalini Shakti is the next one coming out. And to me, this is all about that inner masculine and feminine playing well together, as well as, because we have this romantic love card popping out, it's talking about how it the reflection of the inner state comes through the people that we attract and that we're attracted to. So some people, you'll hear us at different times, we might say, oh well, either all the good ones are gone, or all the ones that are left are all, flawed, or all men are this way, all women are this way, or, you know, women only want one thing, men only want one thing. And for you, you can fill in what those things or those faulty beliefs might be. But to get into this flow state, we're really just told, there's plenty of people out there who hold our value, who are on the same path as us, and not all will we be attracted to, and them in return, and the commitment and the compatibility. But it looks like we're getting really close to manifesting something, because we've gotten so straight and clear about who we are. So I'll just real quick get you a reading here from the first page. It says, hers is the arising consciousness, again, that rising Kundalini process of the integration of our polarity, the arising consciousness that evokes instability within to shake loose what doesn't serve, right? Clearing the inner pathways for higher consciousness to manifest. Inner disturbance and instability wrought by Kundalini Shakti, those ascension symptoms and such, right? It's an obscuring grace. Is an obscuring grace. So it's kind of shielding us so that we can hit the processing phase and do this rest and replenish here. So this internal disorder is a necessary step towards divine reorganization, that right order. Be fearless as these things go through. And for many, I'm no doctor, so do your research and get your appointments if you need. But for many of us, don't talk yourself into sickness. Talk yourself into your health. Reassure your heart that no matter what may appear to be, especially with partnerships at this point, at a spiritual level, all is well. Outworn energy is being processed and broken apart. From the ashes of your inner fire, you shall emerge anew. Let what needs to happen happen in your life. So we're at the end of the reading here. So let's see if any of these further code cards want to talk about this before we move to the extended readings. So in this relationship dynamic, take it if you need to as a workplace dynamic, we're going to go, and because everybody has their own nuances, we'll get these other 3 readings. So soul time, yep, that rest, replenish, meditative practice. We've got a big boatload coming out here. The first pile, upright, we have magic, 31, consciousness, number 17, and coherence. Didn't we talk about coherence and cohesion? The ability to resonate, to be on an understanding resonant wavelength, to be in the same vibrational value system puts us into understanding, and even having a similar love language. We might both be trying to express love, but then one person is looking for something like words of affirmation when the other person's giving gifts, and they're like, why are you so material? And they're like, why are you so whatever they might say, that type of thing. So if we can find somebody who can help us to understand their language and is interested in learning ours, that's one step closer to compatibility. Under the deck here, we have divine feminine, solar plexus chakra, realization, fertility, and root chakra. So root chakra is getting us really grounded and replenished and healthy and in that abundance mindset, and good things are trying to take hold. So there's a breakthrough in confidence and the ability to receive. Our creative potential is recognizing our options here to grow and shift and call this in. So join us for the other readings, folks. Take care. Until next time.